I've used the word pathology when describing anxious and avoidant attachment. One has to be careful not to pathologize everything. The American Psychiatric Association used to label homosexuality as a pathology until empirical research showed that it is not. And it is now politically incorrect to pathologize people, especially when it comes to sexuality, like trans people, for example. Instead, we refer to choices and lifestyles, but I want to argue, as do many of the psychologists who study attachment, that insecure attachment is a pathology. I'll stay out of the trans debate for now. What do I mean by pathology? I mean two criteria. One, that it hurts the individual who has the pathology, and two, that it hurts people close to them. And I'll talk about a possible third criteria later. It doesn't count if the avoidant or anxious person offends strangers by just being authentic. If you're gay and some people are offended by your gayness, that's their problem, unless you're going out of your way to offend them. Then maybe you do have something wrong with you. There is tons of data that insecurely attached folks, whether they're anxious, avoidant, or chaotic, do worse on many measures of stress and well-being than securely attached folks. Avoidants may have developed some defenses to lessen the pain they experience from social exclusion, but these same defenses prevent them from having happy, long-lasting relationships and being able to trust their partners. So the first criterion for pathology is satisfied. Avoidant attachment definitely hurts the avoidance. I haven't looked for any data on how avoidant attachment can hurt the avoidance partners, but it's a no-brainer that partners who want intimacy will be hurt by avoidants who are usually not able to provide it, and by all the defenses that the avoidants come up with, whether outright aggression, sarcasm, contempt, sadistic taunting, stonewalling, hyper-defensiveness, and trying to socially ostracize their partners upon breaking up with them. So it's a pathology according to the second criterion also. There might be another way that an individual trait could be a pathology, and that is if the trait allows the individual to be well adjusted to their society, but is in conflict with the human nature that evolved before the advent of this society. The psychologist Erich Fromm first came up with this idea, applying it both to totalitarian societies such as Stalinist Russia and Nazi Germany, and Western corporate consumerist hyper-individualist societies. Before Fromm, most therapists were concerned with getting individuals to be well adjusted to their society. And of course there were writers like Aldous Huxley who saw pathologies of societies, not just of individuals. So we can ask whether a society of hyper-individualist avoidance with a non-dual spiritual philosophy and meditation practice who eschew romantic relationships and do well in their corporate jobs is pathological, even if all the people in it are well adjusted to their environment. My guess is yes, it is pathological, that their deeper neural circuits and hormonal pathways, which evolved over millions of years, will not be well adjusted, and that they will still feel a malaise. But I could be wrong, and avoidant attachment could be one of those epigenetic social mutations that gives avoidance an advantage, that rewrites those deep programs that have evolved in our species and other mammalian species for attachment. There's something else to consider, which is even if individuals in the present environment are selected for with insecure attachment, whether it be avoidant or anxious or chaotic, I don't think a culture where people have this kind of attachment can be competitive with a culture where people are generally more cohesive and get their needs for connection met from being with each other and being close to the land. What I'm saying was said in a slightly different context by Christopher Lasch in his book, The Culture of Narcissism. He was talking about how narcissism was normalized by our culture. And yes, there is a connection between insecure attachment and narcissism, as I've talked about in previous videos. So yeah, let's do something about it. Let's try to get connected again, and yeah, let's help insecure attachment folks heal rather than normalizing this pathology.